7 million. It was not a number humanity learned through reports or memorials. It was a number burned into living memory, carried on screams, on flickering footage, on a sky that turned into fire. Helios 9 had been a quiet world. A civilian colony orbiting a calm yellow star, known more for its helium-3 refineries and agricultural domes than for anything remotely strategic. No shipyards, no weapons platforms. Its defense grid existed only to deflect micrometeors and solar storms. It was protected by treaties, registrations, and the shared belief that no one would ever bother attacking it. That belief died first. The Virex Dominion fleet emerged from fold space without warning. No hails. No demand for surrender. No declaration of hostilities. Their war cruisers slid into orbit like executioners arriving early, weapons already charging. The first plasma strike erased an entire coastal city. Atmosphere ignited. Skyscrapers folded inward as if crushed by invisible fists. Oceans screamed as water flash-boiled into expanding clouds that tore continents apart. Emergency shelters failed in seconds, never designed to withstand orbital fire. People ran with nowhere to go. Families crowded into transit hubs that vanished in white light. Hospitals lost power, then gravity, then existence. Children died clutching hands that were no longer attached to bodies. Earth received the feed live. At first, command analysts thought the data was corrupted. Sensors reported impossible heat spikes, mass loss anomalies, atmospheric collapse. Then the visual confirmation arrived, and denial became impossible. Helios 9 was being erased. 14 minutes. That was all it took. When the final signal died, 7 million human lives went with it. Miners who had never seen Earth, engineers who believed treaties meant safety, children who had learned alien languages before they learned fear. Across Earth, every screen froze on the same image, a planet half shrouded in fire, half darkened forever. Silence followed. No riots, no speeches, no prayers loud enough to drown the shock. Humanity simply stopped speaking. The Galactic Council convened within the hour. Its chamber filled with light and motion, representatives projecting calm, while internal data streams showed rising civilian unrest across dozens of systems. The Virex delegation stood motionless, crystalline features unreadable, their presence unchallenged. The chair called the session to order. The incident at Helios 9 is under review, it announced. Preliminary assessment suggests annihilation, the human delegate interrupted. The word cut through the chamber like a blade. You annihilated a civilian world, the delegate continued, voice steady despite hands clenched white against the table. There were no military assets, no provocation, no warning. The Virex envoy tilted its head slightly. Collateral miscalculation, it replied. Human settlements were closer to our operational zone than anticipated. A murmur spread through the chamber. Discomfort, sympathy, calculation. The chair raised a limb. We will investigate, it said. Sanctions will be discussed after. That word landed heavier than the massacre itself. The human delegate stood. 7 million are already after, he said quietly. Then he disconnected his feed. One by one, every human representative followed. The council chamber remained full, but humanity was gone. The footage reached the public within minutes. Earth's networks did not censor it. People watched cities die in real time. Parents recognized school domes. Workers recognized transit lines. Names scrolled endlessly, too many to read, too many to mourn properly. Candlelight vigils formed across the planet. They did not last long. As night fell, something shifted. Military bases across Earth went dark as classified protocols activated. Satellites adjusted orbits without explanation. Deep space sensors that had been passive for decades powered up, peering outward with new intent. In vaults beneath mountains and oceans, locks that had not been touched in centuries disengaged. Humanity did not cry out for revenge. Humanity prepared. Beneath Geneva, in chambers sealed against nuclear fire and orbital strike, the Emergency Unity Council assembled. Old rivals sat side by side, united by something older than politics. Above them hovered two images. Helios 9. Before and after. No speeches were given. No arguments made. The vote required unanimity. It took 3 minutes and 48 seconds. Across Earth and far beyond it, the message broadcast on every frequency, translated into every known language, unfiltered and absolute. Earth Emergency War Statute 1. No alien shall stand. There were no exceptions listed. No conditions. No expiration. It was not a declaration of hatred. It was permission. Permission for every buried fleet, every forbidden weapon, every restrained contingency to awaken. As the broadcast ended deep within Sol, vast shapes began to move, structures unfolding from shadow and sun glare, fleets aligning with silent precision. Somewhere in the galaxy, alien commanders would soon ask how far humanity was willing to go. They would learn the answer had already been paid for. 7 million times over. The galaxy heard the law. It did not understand it. Across thousands of systems, translation engines rendered the words perfectly, no alien shall stand, yet most species interpreted it as rhetoric, an emotional outburst from a wounded civilization. Laws, after all, were meant to restrain violence, not unleash it. They assumed Earth would posture, demand reparations, then return to the familiar dance of committees and delays. Humanity did none of those things. Within minutes of the statute's broadcast, Earth's fractured command structures collapsed into a single operational mind. National chains of authority dissolved without resistance. There was no protest, no fear of lost sovereignty. In its place formed the Unified Human War Command, its jurisdiction absolute and unquestioned. Hidden systems awakened. Asteroids long catalogued as inert debris shifted position, revealing weapon arrays embedded deep within their cores. Research stations declared abandoned decades earlier began transmitting encrypted signals. Shipyards unfolded from lunar shadows, their frameworks extending kilometer by kilometer as automated foundries roared to life. For centuries, humanity had been called inefficient, too many governments, too many debates, too much hesitation. The galaxy had confused chaos with restraint. The Galactic Council responded swiftly. A formal injunction was issued to Sol, marked with the highest authority seal. Earth is ordered to cease all military mobilization. The Helios 9 incident will be resolved through lawful arbitration. The message arrived. It was received. It was ignored. No reply followed. No rejection. Not even a statement of defiance. Just silence. That silence spread faster than fear. Council members began emergency consultations. Trade leagues froze shipping lanes near human space. Border species repositioned fleets under the pretense of defense, careful not to cross the invisible line forming around Sol. The Virex Dominion, however, remained confident. Their border installations powered up. Shield harmonics were tuned to maximum. They trusted in fortresses that had never fallen and doctrines tested across centuries of warfare. They believed Earth would not dare escalate. Human war doctrine, long theoretical, became reality. Energy weapons were deprioritized. Galactic warfare relied on shields, power output, and attrition. Humanity had studied those assumptions carefully, and chosen to break them. Kinetic weapons banned by interstellar convention returned, redesigned for interstellar scale. Projectiles were accelerated to fractions of light speed, wrapped in adaptive guidance systems that could think, learn, and adjust mid-flight. Every human vessel carried layered redundancies, modular hulls, and self-evolving combat intelligences. Crews trained under a single principle: there would be no rescue. If a ship entered hostile space, its purpose was completion, not survival. Retreat protocols were erased from operational doctrine. The first strike order was not dramatic. It was a line of text issued across the unified command network. Target: Virex Border Fortress Theta 9. Purpose, demonstration. Theta 9 was not merely a station. It was an artificial moon, layered in overlapping shields, defended by fleets, and protected by Council treaty. It had never been breached in recorded history. Humanity did not approach it. Space folded. 3 human vessels emerged inside the defensive perimeter, an impossible maneuver according to galactic physics. Before Virex sensors could propagate a warning, kinetic lances fired. There was no explosion. Matter ceased. Sections of Theta 9 vanished, not shattered, not burned, simply removed from existence as relativistic projectiles passed through shield and hull alike. Structural integrity failed instantly. The fortress fractured, then collapsed into expanding rings of debris. 11 seconds. That was the entirety of the battle. The human ships vanished as abruptly as they had appeared. Footage escaped containment within minutes. Civilian networks replayed it endlessly. Military analysts across the galaxy slowed the frames, horrified by what they saw. Shields had not been overwhelmed. They had been rendered irrelevant. The conclusion spread like a contagion. Humanity was not escalating a conflict. Humanity was rewriting warfare. On Earth, the unified command assembled for the first time since the statute passed. Holograms filled the chamber. Fleets emerging from deep space docks, formations aligning beyond Sol's orbit, supply chains moving with silent efficiency. An officer broke protocol and spoke the question no one else would. When does this end? The chamber remained still. Then the admiral who commanded Sol's outer defense spoke, his voice calm, almost gentle. When the law no longer needs to be spoken, he said. When no one in this galaxy believes they can raise a weapon against us and survive. He gestured to the casualty projection still hovering in the chamber. 7 million. This is not vengeance, he continued. It is instruction. As human fleets accelerated toward Virex space, a realization dawned across the stars, too late to stop it. Earth had not declared war on one species. Earth had declared an era. And it would be enforced. The galaxy panicked. Not immediately, not at first. Panic arrived quietly, like the shadow before a storm, creeping through intelligence networks, council chambers, and border stations. Species that had once underestimated humanity now whispered of impossible velocities, untraceable strikes, and weapons that erased matter itself. Neutral worlds scrambled. Trade alliances splintered overnight. Fleets once loyal to distant coalitions abandoned pre-planned patrols and rushed to negotiate or flee. Humanity had not sent a single envoy, yet every system closest to Sol adjusted its strategy as if anticipating Earth's next move. Meanwhile, deep in Virex space, the first true tests of the law began. The Virex Dominion had survived the initial strike, but their confidence was already shaking. Theta 9 had been their pride, a fortress that had stood for generations. It was gone, and humanity had merely announced its presence. Within weeks, human fleets penetrated deeper. They did not call ahead. They did not issue ultimatums. They did not broadcast demands or warnings. They simply appeared, and the galaxy's rules, carefully cultivated for centuries, fractured instantly. The first system to fall was minor, technically uninhabited, but it was a message. Human kinetic projectiles reduced orbital defenses to dust, while automated boarding teams descended silently, removing key command structures before alien reinforcements even realized an attack had occurred. Then, before the fleet could be traced leaving, it had vanished again, leaving survivors terrified, scattered, and powerless. The Virex Dominion responded. They deployed multiple fleets to intercept, relying on speed, shields, and firepower. Humanity did not engage conventionally. They deployed small, near-invisible squadrons that bypassed shielded chokepoints, striking command hubs, supply lines, and fleet nodes simultaneously. Each strike left names behind, names of those who had died on Helios 9, broadcast across systems, a haunting echo of vengeance that was surgical, precise, and inevitable. Across the galaxy, Council members realized the truth. This was no conventional war. Humans were not seeking territory or political leverage. Humans were enforcing a principle. Neutral species attempted diplomacy. Envoys were dispatched to Sol, carrying pleas, treaties, and intelligence offers. Some were sincere, others sought survival. Every single communication was logged, every offer of alliance accepted or declined, but none delayed the advance. Humanity's fleets operated on a schedule determined not by negotiation but by execution. In one isolated system, a neutral species tried to intervene, positioning their fleet between human vessels and a Virex station. They were obliterated. Not out of malice but to send a clear signal: no alien shall stand, not by defense, not by neutrality, not by hope. The Virex tried to regroup. Commanders convened under pressure, arguing over strategy, over morality, over contingency plans. But Earth had removed contingencies. Retreat was impossible. Every strike human fleets made was a lesson delivered in fire and silence. And yet, they were methodical. No civilians were harmed outside combat zones. Every action was deliberate. Every strike calculated. Humanity's war was not chaotic. It was a cold, precise machine built to rewrite the rules of engagement in the galaxy. By the end of the third month, entire sectors had fallen. Fleets once thought untouchable were reduced to debris field. Virex homeworld defenses were on high alert, but even their most secret stations and weapon platforms had been studied, measured, and accounted for. Humans were always one step ahead, not through luck, but through preparation, patience, and an unyielding memory of Helios 9. A human admiral, observing the operations from a hidden command deck, spoke quietly to his staff, his words carrying both finality and warning. They wanted to see if we would hesitate. They wanted to see if we feared their fleets, their treaties, their god. Now they know, hesitation is impossible. Fear is irrelevant. The law has been spoken. Across the galaxy, the consequences were settling in. The Council scrambled. The Virex faltered. Neutral systems began to reconsider alliances. Every species, without exception, understood the same truth. The humans did not negotiate, they did not beg, and they certainly did not forgive. Humanity had stopped asking. Humanity had begun enforcing. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The war that the galaxy thought impossible had begun in earnest. By now, every major Virex fleet had been tested, dissected, and dismantled. Their outer systems lay in ruin, and their homeworld shivered under the shadow of a threat they had refused to acknowledge until it was too late. Entire sectors, once considered strategic strongholds, were now silent. Humanity did not conquer with groundless slaughter. They dismantled defenses, removed leadership, and left survivors with a single, terrifying message: no alien shall stand. The Virex attempted desperation strategies. Fleets merged, fortified, and mobilized in unprecedented numbers. Ancient dreadnoughts were deployed, weapon systems tuned to maximum, and planetary shields boosted beyond previous limit. They believed their sheer scale could stop humanity. They believed wrong. Human fleets did not respond en masse. They never did. Instead, they struck surgically, small squadrons infiltrating at impossible speeds, bypassing defenses, and neutralizing targets with precision that was clinical in its cruelty. Every assault had a pattern, every strike delivered a message. This was not revenge. This was enforcement. On Virex homeworld, the ruling council met in terror. Crystalline delegates, once arrogant in their power, now whispered among themselves. Intelligence reports confirmed that humans were not attacking recklessly. They were following a code, a law written in the ashes of 7 million lives. No negotiation, a young counselor said, voice shaking. They will not stop. They will not stop until the law is satisfied, another replied. They do not fight for territory or wealth or dominion, they fight to enforce the principle itself. Meanwhile, human ground forces made their first deployment onto a captured orbital platform near the Virex homeworld. They moved silently, swiftly, and without hesitation. The soldiers did not pause for mercy or provocation. Each step on alien soil was a calculated lesson, each engagement a demonstration of what had happened when humans were pushed beyond patience. The Virex command attempted to counterattack, sending waves of fighters toward human positions. Each wave was met with tactics that no Virex strategist had considered possible: kinetic intercepts that seemed to anticipate every maneuver, adaptive countermeasures that evolved mid-battle, and boarding operations executed with flawless precision. Entire squadrons disappeared before their crews understood what had happened. By midweek, Virex fleets were fractured. Communications faltered. Systems once considered impregnable were penetrated. Fear spread among the ranks, infecting the officers who had long prided themselves on control and discipline. The law, Earth's law, was no longer a statement. It was reality. From the sole command deck, the lead admiral observed every move. His voice, calm but resolute, echoed across the silent chamber. "They believed they could intimidate us," he said. "They believed treaties, fleets, and numbers would protect them. But they forgot one truth: humans remember." The admiral gestured toward a digital map, each Virex system flickering as targets were neutralized one by one. "This war is not over when the fighting ends," he continued. "It is over when the law is acknowledged, and no alien force can stand against it." As fleets continued their methodical advance, the galaxy realized something profound. Humanity's war was not chaos, not vengeance, not ambition. It was inevitability. By the time the Virex leadership attempted surrender, their fleets had been dismantled, their cities secured, and their command centers erased. The humans did not exterminate them, they imposed order. The Dominion would continue to exist only under humanity's terms, stripped of the means to defy them again. In every corner of the galaxy, species began to understand the same unalterable truth: Earth had not merely won battles. Humanity had enforced a principle that could not be bargained with, ignored, or challenged. No alien shall stand. And with that, the war reached its terrifying clarity. Humanity's law was absolute, unyielding, and eternal. The Virex leadership surrendered. Not with pomp, not with words of reconciliation, not with hope for mercy. They surrendered because the law of Earth was no longer abstract. It had become reality. Every system they had once controlled was either in human hands or permanently neutralized. Every fleet capable of resisting had been dismantled. Their world, their fleets, their pride, all accounted for. Humanity did not revel in destruction. They did not celebrate the collapse of an empire. The law "no alien shall stand" was not vengeance, it was enforcement. The survivors were disarmed, exiled from spaceflight, and confined to their homeworlds under strict surveillance. The galaxy had witnessed the consequences of violating the principle, and the message could not have been clearer. Humans remembered every life lost, and they would not permit it again. Across the stars, whispers spread among alien species. Neutral worlds, once tempted to exploit conflicts for profit, now recalculated alliances. They realized that diplomacy with humanity required more than treaties and promises. It required respect, vigilance, and the acknowledgement of a power that operated on principles, not compromise. Earth did not occupy. Earth did not annex. They returned home with their fleets intact, their technologies advanced, and their reputation rewritten across the galaxy. The law remained in place, not as a threat, but as a permanent precedent. Humanity had defined its place in the stars. No alien force, regardless of power or ambition, could oppose them without facing annihilation. In the council chambers, galactic leaders convened to discuss the aftermath. Some advocated retaliation, others sought new protections. None could deny the fundamental shift. Earth had enforced a law and in doing so reshaped interstellar politics forever. Every species would now operate under the implicit understanding that humanity's memory was long, its patience measured, and its law absolute. On Sol, the unified human command monitored the systems quietly. Fleet deployments had returned to standard defensive patterns, yet the law remained active, a constant reminder of the principle humanity had established. Citizens, while unaware of the full scope, celebrated survival and security, but the leaders knew this was not mere survival. It was deterrence enforced by an unyielding code. The admiral of the fleet, now seated in the central command deck overlooking a calm Sol, spoke quietly to his aides. They believed 7 million deaths would be forgotten, he said. They believed our patience would falter. They were wrong. Every system we struck, every fleet we dismantled, was a lesson written in fire. The law is no longer words. It is reality. A pause. He stared at the map of the galaxy, pinpointed with human influence and oversight. Let the Council whisper. Let other species tremble. Humanity will not threaten peace, we will enforce it. And in enforcing it we protect ourselves, our people, and our future. No alien shall stand. Not by chance, not by defiance, not by hope. The galaxy exhaled, too late to resist, too late to challenge. Humanity had changed the rules, and every corner of space had to adapt. In the quiet aftermath, Earth looked outward. The stars had not grown smaller, they had grown honest. Every species now knew the price of violating human law, and every species would remember it for centuries. 7 million lives had been lost. One law had been declared. And humanity had kept it. The galaxy would never forget. No alien shall stand.